Hey guys, welcome to another exciting game from the FIDE Grand Swiss Tournament that is being held in the Isle of Man. This game was played in round 8 and the players are Vishwanathan Anand with the white pieces and Vladimir Fedoseev with the black pieces. Pretty exciting game, so let's just get into it. We have e4 by Anand and c5, the Sicilian defense by Vladimir Fedoseev. Knight to f3 and knight to c6. d4, we have c takes d4, knight takes d4, and this is a pretty standard move here. A lot of moves have been played, developing your knight captures and then queen captures. It's all been played before. So we have queen to b6, which is also another exciting move. This move comes with an attack on this knight. Well, double attack, and also keeping an eye on this backward b2 pawn, not allowing the dark square bishop that white has to develop. So that was not played in the game, and after queen to b6 we have knight to b3, just getting rid of both the threats. Now you don't have a knight here to attack, and you're not even attacking this b2 pawn anymore. So, but still, I mean, this move is pretty good because now you're eyeing this f2 pawn as well. But the queen is not going to stay there for long, because if it does, it's going to be attacked. So we have e6, finally creating some room for this bishop to develop. Then you're going to develop the knight and castle. We get knight to c3. Anand wants to put some pressure on this queen. He wants to go knight to a4 and then attack the queen. So we have queen to c7, proactively moving the queen and putting it on a nice diagonal, eyeing this h2 pawn, which is perfectly fine. We get f4 and we have d6, bishop to e3, they're all developing moves, knight to f6, bishop to d3, bishop to e7 and queen to f3. The reason f4 was played is because white wanted to put his pawn in between this attack, so now he's going to castle either king's side or the queen side. And after queen to f3 we have knight to b4. This is a completely fine position where now black is attacking the light square bishop, who is also eyeing this h2 pawn. So if you push this pawn, this h2 pawn becomes a weakness, and you don't really want to keep that as a weakness. So it's better to get rid of this excellent bishop. And we just have castles by Vishwanathan Anand. And he says, okay, if you want to capture, that's fine. I'm just going to bring my c pawn and I'm going to have a wonderful pawn structure. So it's up to you what you want to do. We have bishop to d7, not immediately capturing, but now Anand forces the capture by playing a3. Now either you have to go back with the knight, so you just brought the knight from here to here for no reason. You just waste a couple of moves. So instead, knight takes d3. C takes d3, and now Anand has a nice pawn structure. Once this pawn gets to g3, he's going to have a nice pawn structure. That was his goal anyways. Queen to c6 and rook a to c1, putting the rook on the only open file that is available. Queen to a6, now attacking this pawn, and g4. So if you are Vladimir Fedoseev here and you have to decide whether to capture this hanging pawn or not, pause the video, take a few seconds and think about this position. I'm going to show you what happens if you capture once this g4 is played. So if you capture, that would be a blunder or a mistake, because we get rook f to d1, now attacking the queen. Queen to c4, you have to go away, move away with the queen, and now knight to d4. h6 and knight to d5, now opening up a discovered attack on this queen. Also your knight is threatening to jump to any of these squares. Give a fork and pick up this wonderful rook. So we have e takes d5. You just give up the queen. That is your best possible solution. If you decide to defend your queen, I'm going to show you what happens as well. So if you play queen to a4, defending your queen, then you simply get knight to c7 with a check, king to f8, knight takes a8, queen to a5, because you have to keep an eye on this c7 square. We get knight to c7, king to g8, and now rook to c4. Now look at this position. The king is stuck here. He cannot really move. He has a h2 square, but it is not really a safe square for the king to be. The rook here is stuck. The queen is stuck on the opposite side of where all the action is going on, and this rook is ready to come to c5. Put some more pressure here and definitely get some checkmate ideas pretty soon. So this would not be a good position, and that's why after knight to d5, you have to take it with your pawn and give up the queen. This is why queen takes d3 in this position was not a good idea, and what Vladimir Fedoseev played instead was bishop to c6. Completely fine. Now we even get g5, pushing the pawn even further, pushing this knight even back deeper into the black's position. Knight to d7 and d4. We have bishop to b5, now attacking this rook, and rook to f2. Interesting move. Finally, Vladimir gets time to castle, so he castles. But look at the positions of the pieces on the board. If you give this position to any grandmaster and ask to choose whatever side he wants, 9 out of 10 will choose the white, mainly because of a wonderful development. All these pieces are developed. Whereas on the black side, these pieces are stuck on the last rank. These two pieces not really doing anything. This bishop needs to go back to d8, then activate via this diagonal. This bishop is stuck for now. It can even be captured by this knight, but it's not really looking at anything. Yes, it's controlling nice f2 square, f1 square, but that's not really a square where the king wants to be. The king will slowly go to h1, push this pawn further, go to h2, and have a wonderful safe square. So this position is plus 1.6, and by this time both the players have spent a lot of time from their clocks, and this is just position 18. After this we have f5. Anand is now trying to create some weaknesses in the position, and bishop to d8. See, if there is a pawn pushing, then you will just want to get out of the way. So knight to d2. Now getting the knight into the game, we have bishop to d3. An excellent move, controlling this nice key light squares around the white area, but all of the pieces are currently on a dark square, so there is nothing this bishop is doing here, and it will eventually move out of the way. We have f takes e6. This is actually a small blunder or a mistake by Vishy Anand, because there were better moves that he could have played, but it's completely fine. It's not a big mistake or big blunder or anything. It's a small mistake that can be rectified. We have f takes e6, and now opening up an attack on the queen. Queen to g4, now rook takes f2, king takes f2, and knight to f8. Now if you look at this position, it's completely equal position, and here if you ask the grandmaster what do you want to choose, they would say either side, because these pieces are now active. This bishop is finally active. It can come to either of these squares or even attack this piece here. It's way too forward of a pawn. We can even bring the rook into the game, so it's completely fine. It was not like in the previous position where all of white pieces were developed and ready to attack, but black's pieces were not. This is a completely equal position, and Anand kind of by this f takes e6 move, by this move, he gave up a lot of advantage that he had. So after knight to f8, we get d5. Anand is now trying to create another open file, trying to push the pawns even further. e5, closing down the position. h4 now. We have g6 and h5. Exciting play. G takes h5 and queen takes h5. Going deeper into the position, it's going to be crazy pretty soon. Bishop to b6. Now he wants to put this bishop on a nice diagonal. He definitely wants to get as many pieces off the board as possible. That's Fedoseev's plan. Queen to h3 and now rook to e8. He simply wants to recapture with the queen, Anand, and this is again a completely drawn game. Knight to d1, bishop to e2. Attacking this knight, we have king to e1 and bishop to d4. Knight to f2 and rook to e7. This is where Fedoseev started blundering because he was really low on time and he did not have, he was very low on time, so he couldn't calculate everything precisely, which is what Anand was counting on. Maybe that was his plan, just to keep all the pieces on the board, because the more pieces on the board you have, the tougher it is to calculate, especially with the queens, because queens can cover a lot of ground, and it's really difficult to calculate a lot of lines with these queens on the board. So this was a big mistake, this rook moving from rook to e7, but I'm going to show you what he should have played instead, and if you have some time you can pause the video in this position right here. Try to find if you can find the correct move. The move he should have played was just bishop takes e6, e3, and just to get some pieces off the board. We get queen takes e3, bishop to h5, queen to d3, queen takes d3, knight takes d3, and king to f7. This is completely fine. If you consider the position, you have one rook each, one knight each, and a knight against a light square black bishop. If you count the pawns, it's completely equal. 5 pawns against 5 pawns and same pawn islands. So you don't really have to worry. It's really tough to defend this pawn because it's too forward. So maybe black even has an advantage here. But none of this was played, and he played rook to e7 in time pressure. And I'll give you another opportunity to pause the video. This time try to find the best move for white. For those of you who found it, congratulations, amazing player. Keep playing just like this. And for the rest of us, the move to find was bishop takes d4. E takes d4 and now rook to c8. This was the important move because now you are pinning this knight. Also, it's a back rank weakness. You cannot allow this king to escape because he has to keep protecting this knight. And this is a wonderful piece here on the 8th rank. We have rook to f7, now defending the knight, but now you get e5. Now d takes e5 and knight f to e4. This is again a slight mistake by Anand because he is now preparing the pushing of this pawn on d5 that is going to d6. But instead, he could have immediately pushed for it, and this is where I like people like Magnus Carlsen, because he is someone who will seize the initiative and not let go. Anand tries to prepare the moves first and then tries to push it. But I'm going to show you why in this position, actually after d takes e5, it's a good idea to push this pawn further. So if you push the pawn to d6, we get queen takes d6, which is what you want. So now you can capture the bishop here on e2. Now you get d3 check and knight takes d3, queen to g6, and finally the queen is trying to go after this pawn. But you don't really have to allow it. You can play just queen to g3 and you can defend this position. You don't really have to worry. But this was not played in the game because Anand wanted to prepare this d6 move, so he instead played knight f to e4. So this knight from here, he went to e4, now ready to push this pawn. This is not a blunder, but it's a mistake. It's not the best combination. And the reason why we can find best combinations is because we have a lot of supercomputers analyzing these moves, but grandmasters don't really have supercomputers. So It's when you're low on time, it's completely fine to find the second best move or the third best move, because even your opponent is not going to find the best moves, or at least you can hope for that. We have h5. Now since there is a pawn, black has a pawn of his own, he's going to push it. We have cheap takes h6 en passant, and now rook to f4. This was the biggest blunder of the game, which cost Fedoseev the entire game. So again, as white pause the video, try to find the best winning combination. I'm going to show it to you. This was not played in the game because Anand was not able to find it. This is move 37, and it's really difficult to find the perfect combination. He found the second best move, but he couldn't find the best move, which is mate in 12 moves as well. So if you have some time, pause the video. The move to find is rook takes f8 with check. You give up your wonderful rook there on the last rank, but you're going to see how it's made in 12 moves. Rook takes f8, queen to g2 with check, king to f7, now queen to g7 with check, king to e8, d6, pushing the pawn even further, queen takes d6, you have to take, if not I'm threatening a checkmate here on this e7 square, and you have to give up the queen. Knight takes d6, king to d8, and queen takes f8, getting rid of the rook as well. So in this position, if you count the material, you have a queen again and two knights against a lone bishop, which is again going to be captured pretty soon. So there is nothing black can do. King to d7, king takes e2, king to c6, queen to e7, and d3 with check. We have king takes d3, king to d5, and knight d2 to e4. Simply protecting this knight. Now you are free to move this queen around. b5, queen to f7 check, king to c6, and finally queen to b7. This is checkmate. But again, because of time pressure, Anand was not able to find this move, which was mate in 15. So after rook to e4, which was the biggest blunder of the game, and even computer went crazy as it gave an evaluation of plus 1000. I don't even know if that's possible. I believe that that's a glitch, and the computer knows that white is winning, but it's just trying to analyze a lot of variations by which white is winning. I mean, I guess whatever you do, you cannot lose. That's probably what it says. But after this move, Anand found the second best move suggested by the computer, and he played queen to e6 with check. This forces matters as queen has to capture this queen now, so we get queen captures e6, and it was in this position that Vladimir Fedoseev resigned, because actually this was the final position on the board. He did not really play the queen takes e6 because he calculated everything in his mind and realized that there is nothing he can do. He is definitely lost in this position. So if you have some time, pause the video, try to find the correct combination. I am going to show you what happens, because what follows is pretty exciting. We get queen takes e6, and now d takes e6, king to h7, now getting out of the way, and now you get e7, not immediately capturing, but first you're going to push the pawn, and now you're ready to capture. We have bishop to b5, protecting the queening square, but again, you don't have to queen there, you just get e captures f8, you bring a queen into the game, and now you get rook captures f8, rook captures f8. You are nicely controlling this file. If you count the material in this position, you have a rook and two knights against a bishop. There is nothing a bishop can do by himself. This rook is nicely cutting off this king from entering into the game, so slowly but surely it's going to be all over. We have king takes c6, h6, and now rook to f5. Bishop to c6, attacking this knight, and now rook takes e5. King to g6 and rook to e7. bishop to d5 and rook to d7, attacking the bishop, also attacking this pawn. Bishop to c6, now attacking this rook, but rook to c7, again attacking the bishop and keeping an eye on this wonderful pawn. King to f5, and now knight to d6 with check. King to e5, knight takes b5, king to d5 and knight to d8, bishop to b5, and now rook takes a7. Slowly but surely you are going to eliminate this pawn, and then your rook and two knights are going to help push these pawns, get a queen into the game, and definitely win from there. So Fedoseev knew all of this, and he realized that he cannot hold against a strong grandmaster such as Anand, because once the 40 moves are completed, both the players get 50 additional minutes. So they get a lot of time, then they can analyze the position and play the best moves. Which is why back in this position on move 37, after Anand played this queen to e6 check, Fedoseev resigned the game, and Anand is now just a half a point behind the leader. Pretty exciting games, and now he's getting into the top list. So now he's going to play opponents like Magnus Carlsen, Caruana, maybe. I don't know what the slots are for today. I haven't really checked the schedule yet. But as of this minute, the games have started. So if you have some time, just watch those games. Pretty exciting games. That's it from round 8, and round 9 is obviously being played right now, and I will get to you with all the updates. I want to thank all my subscribers for subscribing to my channel and greatly appreciate your support. That's it from me. Namaste. See you next time.